And I think if everyone could just take a brief minute and sign in with your name. And if you are with the school, if you're speaking, I thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight. But if you're representing a school unit, if you could put your name and your school unit in the chat to record your attendance. And on that note, I'd like to turn the program over to April Esprit, our council president.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our roundtable. Just want to have a meeting with you all. We have Ms. Brian here in the room, our chairman from the Virginia Beach School Board. I'm going to pass it on to you so you can greet our guests on the call.
Well, thank you, and welcome to everybody in attendance tonight. For those of you who participated at the last council meeting, I'll repeat again, just the great appreciation in these challenging times for all of you stepping up on behalf of the children and families of your entire school, understanding, and we as school board members understand as much as anyone your own personal challenges as parents in these times, and whichever part of the transition your children are in now with regard to virtual learning, face-to-face, or something in between. Again, I just admire so much what you're doing on behalf of PTA, and I do speak as a proud former PTA mom and officer myself. So with that, I have a few things to cover, but I figured let's get to that elephant in the room and the school reopening, and it remains front and center for everybody, right, and rightly so.
Hello.
Hello. So I know that most of you are aware of the most recent school board vote, but I will repeat it here. And again, it's always stressing that this is metrics dependent, so fingers crossed. But for those of you with option 1 students, we had the remaining group of 7th, 8th, 10, 11, and 12th year students. And they are at this point in time slated to return November 12th on a hybrid model, meaning 2 days face-to-face and 3 days of virtual, with the Monday remaining the asynchronous, okay? And so just to reiterate, so that for your own maybe lingering questions or those you may be fielding, just as I continue to do, to emphasize that, this is a large school division, and this division managed a phased-in return of approximately 25,000 students just a month ago. I mean, it's only been that long ago, and that was phased in over the course of 3 weeks, where we welcomed back the most, a select group of 1,000 special ed students, followed by our pre-K through grade 2. And then the week after that, grades 3 through 5. And as you all know, that those who have returned are back those 4 days a week. At the secondary level, as the secondary principals were consulted, because it was at that point that the administration immediately turned its attention to those remaining secondary students. So please know that this was done very methodically and in an orderly fashion. And the principals, it just became evident that to remain in compliance with physical distancing guidelines, the hybrid plan would be needed. I mean, it simply put the high number of in-person option 1 students and just the sheer enrollment of our middle and high schools magnifies the challenge. So we sometimes get asked, well, like, why can't a Cape Henry be open to everybody and not us? I mean, a Cape Henry high school is smaller than our smallest elementary school. And so, whereas we have, and I could use high school examples as well, Bishop Sullivan is 400 kids total. That's less than even 60% of our kids returning to our smallest high school. So, once this is pointed out, most families will understand these additional challenges. You still have the opportunity to go back and review the recording from the October 27th meeting. It was a formal school board vote, but one thing that was particularly useful was that the medical panel convened by the superintendent back in July when we initially approved this fall reopening plan. This panel has not been suspended. It continues to be, the superintendent continues to consult with these doctors, and this is the second time that representatives from this panel have actually attended in person with us, and they talked at length with us to assure us that we were ready for this next stage based on this green, yellow, present metric situation we find ourselves in. And we even had the president of the Virginia Academy of Pediatrics phone in via Zoom. It was very gracious of him to offer his time to lend his input into, Virginia Beach, and just reiterating our responsible approach with this. I do want to emphasize, though, there's always that caveat, and it does remain metrics dependent. And as long as this community continues to do what they need to do, and as I go around in the community, everybody does seem to be wearing the masks and all the other things for the most part. So with that, I do want to say any follow-up questions on that, you know how to reach me or the school board collectively. And I do want to emphasize that for those remaining virtual through the end of July, and again, all these high school students will be virtual to some extent, that we do continue to work on improving quality, both for teacher and student. We recognize, it seems what gets most of the press is how it doesn't work for so many kids, but we openly acknowledged at the last meeting that many of our students and families do report a successful experience. And there's many factors, right? Everybody's just different, and it could be the student-teacher fit, it could be the teacher, it could be the student, it could be, it's so many things, but we're recognizing that virtual teaching isn't going away, and we have a good 40% of our families continuing in that format through at least January, and we'll be able to give an answer by the end of this month on whether that opportunity would be extended through June, because we have fielded some questions about that. So with that, shall I just go on to a few other general topics and then let you get on with the rest of your meeting? I was planning to share just some of the other recent information session topics, because the work of the division does go on, and so we do press on with other important issues, some of which we have to do by statute in terms of approvals and evaluations, and others just to continue with our progress. So one that, it wasn't that long ago that, remember when water testing was it was a front and center issue, and we got a very nice update. The division now has a water testing program brochure that would be available on request to any of you who are interested, and I suspect there's information on our website as well. This was an update at our October 27th meeting, so you can always go online to pull up the recorded workshop for information. This was an information item, so it was a work, and you can hear the recording. I can just recap quickly our progress since the last update. Very proud of the new legislation passed in the General Assembly, and I believe it was Delegate Askew who took up that baton for us, but we kind of turned lemons into lemonade. And there was we were operating with very limited guidance. And so, Virginia Beach being the large division it is, we tend to be always the topic of attention. And so we've worked through that, and now there's a solid program in place. There's going to be a draft of VBPTA policy. There's a plan to test 20% of our pre-2014 buildings each year, and there is a list of the 2020 water testing locations for anyone interested in that. So again, a lot of progress in spite of these pandemic times in that regard, so we're proud of that. Chronologically speaking, most of you probably are aware of the educational equity policy that was approved by the school board in early September. a lot of discussion over the summer months. Some of you, in fact, came in support of it. And I do urge any of you who haven't had a chance to read the policy, it's policy 5-4. And, you know, I think well, I know it's worth the read. And the basic premise of it is, again, just to be sure that any barriers for any of our students are removed, so that all our students can work in a respectful work environment where diversity is valued. And then we're committed to equity inclusion, just to enable all these kids to fulfill their potential. The next important step for us, and there is a discussion planned for the November 10th meeting for anybody who wants to take note, and it will be an information item discussion in the formal meeting agenda, you know, and that meeting begins at 6 o'clock. So there will be an equity update, which will be announcing most likely the choice of our third-party consultant to do an in-house review for us, a real thorough assessment of where we're at. You know, we think we know where we're at, but we want to have some fresh eyes too. And tagging along with all this is the office itself was reorganized, Dr. Parrott's office. So it's now coined the Office of Equity, Diversion, and Inclusion. And 2 staff positions have been added. So she has a coordinator level staff position and an office associate. And so that's to help her do the work she needs to do. She reports directly to the superintendent now, Dr. Parrott, and also to support our strategic plan, where all 6 of those strategic plan goals, Compass to 2025, have an equity sub-goal. So important stuff there. And then very quickly, I just want to mention some of the other information items that have been recently presented. So and I'll let you know the meeting dates if you have a personal interest or want to share these with your units. Open education resources. These were discussed at, I want to get this right. That was a September board meeting, and I don't have the exact meeting date on that. But good stuff on all the by open resources, meaning internet resources that teachers are using, and this would be applicable pandemic or not. This started before pandemic, and of course it's just been, the purpose now has been heightened. It just gives that much more choices for teachers to match up with student interests, you know, which fits in with our students' ownership of learning. Peer tutoring support for students. I'm not sure how many of you are involved with schools where this is in place. Excuse me. We were told that Kellam High School 4 years ago, it started very organically with a group of students. And then somehow Princess Anne got in on it, Princess Anne High School. And it's now starting to spread to other high schools, and it's also at the middle or elementary levels, my understanding. And if you're not aware on whether your school offers it, certainly inquire with your administration. And it's our understanding, and this is also virtual peer tutoring, so very timely to note that. It's our understanding that there is an on-demand class link that you can link on to express your interest in it. So again, if you do, I urge you all to find out where your own school is in this chain of peer tutoring. And I have finally a world language update. Okay, so we have an update on that. And for those not aware, that we do have some elementary schools in the division and with 50-50 immersion programs. Would love to have one at each school, but and frankly, it's money-wise, you have to pay the teacher either way, but it's frankly, a part of it is just the availability of Spanish teachers, you know. It is a little different. It doesn't pull away from the need at the high school level because the certification requirements are different. at the high school level, you actually have to have a Spanish degree, as far as I believe, on top of your teaching degree. At the elementary level, it's different. You can demonstrate your proficiency in other ways as long as you still have your bachelor's degree and you're a certified teacher. So Christopher Farms, the program there is the longest lasting, and that feeds into Lansdowne Middle School, excuse me. And Allenton and the most recent Trantwood, their 5th graders are the first ones now to rise through that program. They feed into Great Neck Middle. But also want to emphasize, of course, our Tallwood World Languages Academy, and they really are very proud of what they offer. And a few of the languages are only offered there. And I believe Arabic is one of them, and Russian might be the other one that's not offered anywhere else. I've asked for a quick recap of just foreign language instruction in general at our middle and high school level. I want to know how many of our kids are taking Spanish, French, etc. So that'll cap off that information. So with that, again, I'll just repeat that my phone number is 777-8249, and it's listed online, as well as that for all our other board members. And I know, and I just can't emphasize enough to please follow up if anything here has piqued your interest, or you go back to your units and they've come up with some good questions. Just let us know. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Rye. It's always a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And please feel free to remain on the call or, hop off depending on your schedule this evening. And for anyone who joined us while Mrs. Rye was speaking and you're with a local unit who has not had the opportunity to sign into the chat and place the school you're with in the chat, just for recording your attendance this evening. And next, I'd like to introduce Jen Marcus from Mad Science Hampton Roads, who's going to speak to some STEM programs that can be offered in your schools.
Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Well, like Amber said, I am Jen Marcus. I'm one of the owners of Mad Science of Hampton Roads. We've been around a little over 12 years, so we've been at quite a few of Virginia Beach elementary schools, so I'm sure that many of you are familiar with us. But on the other hand, there are new PTA folks every year. So some of you may not, even if we have been to your school, you may not be familiar with us. So just to tell you a little bit about ourselves, we have been working, like I said, in Virginia Beach and other surrounding districts for 12 years, and we are a franchise of Mad Science Group. So we offer a variety of programs, and I've got a quick little presentation, so I'm going to share my screen. Amber, is it possible to allow screen sharing so I can share that?
Yes.
Go to the $3.
Bear with me 1 second. I think you should be good now. Sorry about that.
Terrific, no problem. All right, so let's go ahead and just to give you guys an overview of what we do. So as I said, we are a franchise of the Mad Science Group, which has been around for over 30 years. We opened in January 2008, and we have worked in over 100 local schools. We cover everywhere from Williamsburg, James City County, all the way down to northeastern North Carolina. We do a variety of different kinds of programming. I often say we are not a one-size-fits-all solution, but we are designed to complement and enrich the SOL correlated curriculum. So all of our programs are SOL correlated, I should say. We know there are schools where there are super duper active parents and lots of PTA things going on. We know there are other schools where it's a struggle to get a lot of parent involvement. We have different economic levels throughout the district, and especially this year with in-person programming being very challenging, if not allowed at all, we wanted to let you guys know about some virtual options that we can do as well. So I'm going to show you guys, this is just a couple little clips from some virtual assemblies we have done over the summer, and even as recently as this past Friday where we did a Halloween show. So I think there's a couple different clips in here. Enjoy.
Jen, if you're screen sharing, none of us can see it. Jen? Amber, is there a way you can tell her we can't see her screen?
That's what I'm trying to do. It's checked that she should be able to, but now I don't know if she needs to sign back in to be able to share it.
Sometimes someone's screen is covered with what they're sharing, so she may not even know that we can't see it because her screen is covered with the sharing.
Thank you. I apologize. I've just sent her a message. Hopefully she can catch that.
I had sent her a message too, and she hasn't seen it.
Okay. Thank you, Lena.
You're welcome.
If you have her cell phone number, that might catch her. Oh, she just took her the earbuds out. She might.
I'm sorry, I can hear you now. I apologize.
I'm so
None of
sorry.
that
I changed
is
the
sharing.
settings for sharing to occur, but it's not it's not showing your video. I
Oh,
don't.
okay. All
I'm
right, well, we'll
sorry.
skip the video and we'll just move on. All right.
Okay.
Can you guys still hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So my apologies. So just to let you know, our assemblies are 45 minutes long. We have 4 different shows that we do in person. We have adapted 2 of them to the virtual world, and we are probably going to be doing some more adaptations as we move forward throughout the school year. But there are 2 shows that we did frequently this summer and recently. So there are a lot of ways, and we actually include at least one hands-on activity as part of that virtual show that kids can do, whether they were watching from their classroom or watching from home. That's one of the other things that we did for the first time this past Friday. We had an elementary school that had some kids virtual at home and some in person, and they broadcasted it in the classrooms, and it worked out really well, actually. Our workshops are something that we work with a lot of schools specifically to supplement what kids are learning in their science classes. So these are, we kind of have the balance from super fun to super academic, and the shows are like on the super fun side. It's still as well correlated. We're still covering things like the scientific method and observations and hypotheses and things like that. But the workshops are very specifically correlated with grade level material. And one of the clients, one of the biggest grade levels we've worked with in our workshops is 5th graders to get them ready for the SOL exam. And I know it's sort of up in the air as to what will happen this spring, but they are available for all grade levels K through 6, and we also have some topics available for 7th and 8th grade. So the workshops we come typically to the school, but we are adapting these to virtual programs as well. And we have SeaTac Elementary is one of our Virginia Beach schools that we've worked with the last couple of years. And then after school enrichment, this probably is the way a lot of people know about us in Virginia Beach, is our after school mad science STEM learning labs is what we typically call them. In years past, it was just called the Mad Science Club. So some people still call it that. But typically a 6-week or 8-week session right there at the school, after school, 1 hour long. And we do a variety of different kinds of topics, open typically to grades 1 through 5. And we have done it under lots of different ways at different school districts, where it's either parent paid or sometimes subsidized by the PTA or sometimes grant funded. So there's a lot of different ways to offer after school enrichment. This is something that's a really nice win for the PTA because it's potentially no cost at all to you. You simply help coordinate the program and offer it, and it can be something that a lot of parents really, really enjoy that their kids get to do. Right now, obviously not that many schools. We can't have visitors into the schools currently. So we are offering programs through virtual as well. So we could definitely partner with you if you're interested interested in doing something like that with your school. And if you had a specific topic you wanted to offer, you can talk with us about that. So like the slide says, we have a real wide variety from space, physics, chemistry, engineering, some life science thrown in there, a lot of good stuff, but all hands-on is the big focus with this. And we've done that with our virtual programs as well, by supplying, we email out parents supply lists so that they can gather some materials so kids can still learn and get hands-on at home. In fact, we did some today with a grant-funded program for Hampton fourth graders. So that is a quick overview of kind of what Mad Science is all about. For school programs, we also offer outside of the schools. We do birthday parties and summer camps and scout programs, and we've done things for church groups. So obviously everyone's here today because of your work with the PTA, but if you don't know about Mad Science and you're interested, for your individual child, feel free to take a look at our website, and you can also find us on Facebook and Instagram and all those kind of places. So thanks you guys for listening. Does anybody have any questions that they wanted to ask while I'm on the call?
Hi.
Somebody asked if you could put the links to the videos in the chat so that they can see them after the.
Yes. So I am going to actually send the whole PowerPoint presentation to Amber for her to share, but I will go ahead and put our web address and Facebook page and such in the chat, and they can take a look at us there. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Jen. And I apologize for our technical glitch.
Oh, not a big
But
deal.
I will be sharing the video from this evening for everyone, in addition to Jen's pieces of information that sadly, due to technology, she was unable to share virtually. So, but thank you so much for coming out, and have a great night.
Thanks. No problem.
And just moving into the next piece, I wanted to just mention to everyone about the state PTA has approved in their executive committee for units to continue hosting virtual meetings through December 31st, 2020. It was mentioned for me to share that a bylaws change regarding virtual meetings and other practices that pertain to the state emergency are a consideration for our members at the annual meeting in March. In the interim, the Virginia PTA Executive Committee will continue to evaluate this and other situations as school reopening plans take place. If we are allowed to if we are allowed to extend the date, we will take that action. And it does say, please do not hesitate to contact your district director, council, or state office for further information on the holding of your meetings virtually. And they did want to share that they can't thank all of you enough for supporting your members, students, and staff and communities as this pandemic continue. And as we have seen at council, and council has seen on a larger scale, many of you have found ways to conduct your business with PTA virtually and socially distanced. And we thank you for everything that you're doing before we take time to move on from this point. Now, the next piece that I'm going to cover is regarding liability insurance. And I wanted to just mention, some of you may have received some communication from Isabel Reitzel Hood regarding your liability insurance and some components that the insurance policies themselves may be expired, or you may not have some of the components that your unit needs to have to be fully covered with insurance, even during this virtual time. So I just wanted to mention that feel free to email me if you have questions or you've received emails from Isabel, or you're unsure of what your unit status is with that piece with RV Nuccio. I know a lot of the deadlines are coming up very soon for this upcoming school year. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. So, and next, if I could turn it over to Donna Hamid, our council treasurer.
Okay. is April still with us? I don't have.
No,
anything
April had,
prepared.
unfortunately, April had to sign off the call to a family emergency and she will not be returning this evening.
Okay, so I don't have anything prepared. I thought I was just helping her while she,
Okay, I did ask her if you were covering the questions from the survey and she told me originally that you were.
I said I'm going to be happy to assist her. So if there's any questions, I can
Okay.
certainly answer questions. I do have a treasurer's training scheduled for the 12th. I know there was a newsletter recently sent out and information on the 990s, the filing. So
What we'll do due to April's unexpected exit of the call that she was not planning for, what I will do is have those questions answered in a document that can be used as a reference document because it is all financially based questions and they are all very pertinent to this time. So I will make sure that they're answered and sent to you in the, in a format that you can reference as needed, as that might be more helpful anyway due to the subject matter. Tara, would you mind covering the piece regarding the IRS and purchasing requirements?
Yes, I have not a problem. So we were asked by a local elementary school, could they purchase stencils to utilize on their playgrounds? As you know, we're kind of limited as to what we can do. So they figured that might be a nice way to kind of beautify the school and give the kids a socially distanced option while they're outside for either recess or PE time. The hitch with that is that technically it goes into the school's capital. So in April's conversations with state and some other guidance that came in from the IRS, there is not a rule that says that we cannot purchase those items if you are in fact a school that's looking to purchase, a hopscotch stencil or something for Foursquare for, to put around your school. However, because it's toward the capital of the school, you would have to do some type of document where you keep track of usage. So, the initial use of where you put them, how much it cost, and then how often they're being used to repaint. As we know, I can specifically speak to elementary school because I'm a kindergarten teacher. The kids put a lot of wear and tear on the equipment outside. So I could foresee people having to repaint every year. So it's not against the rules that we cannot purchase those items. You just have to track information on cost and then how often that the school is using them, of course.
Thank you, Tara. Now, I know a lot of you are looking for those financial questions to be answered so that, please be assured that we will gather that information in April's, exit from the call. But I didn't know if at this point you wanted to ask us anything else that's pressing in your mind that you wanted covered this evening, and we could attempt to help you, at this point with any questions you have with your unit. As if, should we have been in person, this would have been an open question and answer period for where you are with your unit, going into November, and especially right now, everything's a little bit different than it ever has been for everyone on this call. So if you have anything that you'd like to ask us, please feel free to do so in the chat or verbally.
So one of the questions that came into the chat is, has anybody started trying to do some planning for Teacher Appreciation Week? I know that I'm PTAing at two different schools, my elementary school and my middle school, and it's a little bit different in the middle school because there's other branches that like to shower teachers. PTA at my middle school is only responsible for providing, we basically provide lunch one day during that week. Now at my elementary school, we trade off between admin, SCA likes, now of course that's going to be a little bit different this year with the SCA component, but we do a lunch one day, but then we do little treats kind of every other day. And my suggestion would be just to start talking to your principal now. Obviously remain fluid with it because, we don't know what school's going to look like in the next coming months, if we're going to still be in the building, be out of the building, if more kids will be there, what's going to be allowed. As far as, some principals are asking that everything be pre-wrapped and pre-bagged, so it's a grab and go. So that's something that I would communicate directly with your principal on as to what their expectation is, and just remain fluid about it.
Thank you, Tara. Does anyone else have any questions we can help with through all of this?
Amber, the last question that just came in is, how about reflection entries? How do we find out if our entries have made it through the uploading process?
Yours have, Christine. I have seen them and they've all been verified. So yours have come in. We have been getting a lot of emails following the submission to the Beach Reflections email that's listed in the form facade file. And I have checked everyone's to date, and I have reached out to everyone that did it through earlier today. I did get a little sidetracked this afternoon of doing some other things for council, and I have not checked it in the last couple hours, but as of this morning, we had 71 entries as the elementary school window began to close. I know if I've talked to a few of you who may be on this call that have had a few struggles with some pertinent information that you're still gathering to submit it before the 9th. I am aware of those elementary schools, so if you feel free to check in with me and just see if, we did receive everything, as I know the virtual submissions are a little unnerving to make sure that they are received. But I have reached out to most of you that have contacted me if it was a question that needed a response. So thank you for checking.
Amber, Miss Williams would like to know if you recall seeing Brandon Middle School submissions for reflections.
Did that come in today?
Miss Williams, if you could unmute.
I'm not sure. That's why I was checking, so I could follow up with my folks. That's why.
That's okay. Tara, if you don't mind, I'll jump off the live feed for a minute and double check the system and then let you know in a minute. Okay, if that's okay.
That would be awesome. I'm just not sure, so thank you.
Sure, no problem. The middle school window just began, so keep that in mind too, that if they were looking at the date, the requirement date to receive everything, the elementary school window is just closing and the middle school window is just opening today.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure, no problem.
So as Amber's checking that, I'll just share. Amber, while you're looking at that, can you please check on Corporate Landing too, please? Is that Corporate Landing
Elementary? I did receive 2 entries from Corporate Landing Elementary already, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Tara.
So somebody did share for Teacher Appreciation Week that they had a food truck come out for the teachers and it worked well. They had them pre-order and sign up for times for pickup. And another shared that back in June, they contacted the Snowball Shop and allowed their teachers to come by and get a sweet treat, and then they paid for them. I know that for my, what food truck, Miss Ricketts, did you all have come to Kingston? If you could unmute.
Yeah, of course. We had Captain Krabby's come. They were wonderful to work with. We did offer teachers just 3 or 4 options, so it simplified things. And we had them sign up for a certain time so that there wasn't a rush of when they were coming to pick up.
Perfect. And just remember, I know a lot of you are on the call. I recognize names and some of the faces that I see the last call. Of course, Isabel's gotten a little bit more stringent as to who's coming and going. So with the food trucks, you may just want to triple check with her because they're going to have to provide their insurance as well.
Yes, the woman who helped me said, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. The woman who helped us coordinate that, she said, I guess a lot of the food trucks are pretty savvy with insurance, and we for sure check that. I guess that's not an uncommon question for them. So just for people to know that that's something that they're asked a lot.
Oh yeah, well, I know we use a specific family-owned food truck at our elementary school, and they're pretty good about that. I do know somebody just shared that they do a cookie and cocoa event in December. And so they're going to be purchasing specialty cookies from a local bakery and prepackage that with a hot chocolate kit. Miss Castillo, I would have to ask Isabel as far as if you're going to do a teacher luncheon using Chick-fil-A, if they're going to want insurance. I think if they're not delivering it to the school, I would have to see. I can triple check with Isabel, and I would have to get back to you on that one after this call. And Miss Von St. Paul, would you be willing to unmute and share the bakery? We've got somebody that's asking about the bakery you use.
And just to follow up, Tara, I have not received the entries from Brandon Middle School as of yet, but the middle school window has just begun. But if she would like to follow up, that would be fine.
And then Ms. Nesbitt, to answer your question, the school district generally does a calendar for, teacher, all the appreciations. So what we'll do is obtain that for you all, and as soon as we get it, we'll post it on our website. It's VBPTA.org. That's going to be the easiest way. And then, of course, we'll also send it out in an email.
It looks like the bakery that was used is called Flower Child.
Fantastic, thank you. I can attest I've had some of their sweet treats and they are pretty delicious. Amber, I don't see any other questions coming in.
Well, in that respect, I don't think anyone will object to getting done a little early from this call, and I will follow up with making sure all those questions that came in through the survey are answered. I think it might be a better use of everyone's time to let everybody go enjoy their families. I know we probably all stayed up a little late last night with the elections. So if you have any other questions along the way, we are here for you and we are here to support you. And we are so grateful for everything you all are doing to take the selfless act always, but especially in this year, to take care of the children and families and faculty in your buildings. Even though we can't personally be there, they do feel the complementary actions and the support from PTA. And we are always, you're never in this by yourself, and we are always here to help you. And, due to the nature of those questions, I think I'm, just going to create a document when the video goes live and I share Mrs. Marcus's comments and the visuals that she was unable to share. If you are interested in speaking with her and you want immediate representation of what our company can offer, on our VBPTA.org website, there is a virtual fundraising guide. And within that fundraising guide is her latest YouTube load video, which I do believe is the file she was attempting to share with everyone this evening. But again, that will be shared as soon as we gather everything together. So if there are no more questions, I thank you all for attending and I hope you have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Rye. Thank you for coming. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. It's nice to put some names with some faces of who I've been speaking to lately.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Amber.
Yes.
It's Emily D'Souza. You know how we
Hey.
were emailing about that reflections question?
Yes, I am still waiting to receive communication back, as that's bigger than the city of Virginia Beach.
Okay,
So I haven't forgotten. I just am waiting for clarification on that piece, because you're not the only school that has that circumstance.
Oh, okay.
But I've got, you're still on my list. It's just having to be worked out as that. If it does move on past our city, that's going to have to be referenced as to how it's handled, mainly from an award standpoint.
Okay.
So it's not that I'm not trying to get back with you in that respect. It's just trying to gather, the overall plan as the virtual piece, the changing of schools with students submitting like you have.
Right.
It's just, originally, I mean, I will be honest, originally it was shared to me that they would all actually, and we're speaking to virtual students are being taught out of their homeschool building. How will they in turn, if they turn the entry into the virtual unit that they are being taught from, even though that's not their homeschool, can they be recognized if their homeschool does not have a program for reflections this year in their building? So that is something that's happening in 3 different schools currently. If you are on the call and you have not made me aware of it, and you are submitting one from your building that is being taught through your faculty and who is a virtual student, please just let me know so that we know. Yeah, it's just trying to verify the legality of the award and the legality of how that child moves through the system, because luckily in the city of Virginia Beach, we are fortunate to have had a national winner at the high school dance level and another middle school placement, at the visual art level. The high school winner was from Cox High School last year, and the middle school winner was from Virginia Beach Middle School in the Art Academy. So I'm very diligent at making sure everything is covered adequately, because the last thing I would want is one of our students to get disqualified on a technicality who deserves to move on. And because annually we do have recognition that goes to the national level, I'm making sure that that piece is completely covered before it leaves our city as to how they're recognized.
So do you think I should wait before we award her that first place?
I'm hoping to have that response tonight.
Okay.
The last piece is, I needed to talk to April about what I found out. And honestly, she's our council president and she had to leave the call due to a family emergency this evening.
Sure.
So I don't want to mismanage, your expectations of getting back with you, but it just involves a lot of people to finalize, how the student's going to be awarded, because I just want to make sure, the trick in all of it is their homeschool didn't offer the reflections program this year out of choice from the school. So, that does make it a little bit unique other than the other 2 schools. And I've been at council for close to 10 years and I've never, we've never done it this way. So, Dr. Alexander, for anyone who's on this call who knows, he's the director of family and community engagement with the school system. And he even says, sail the ship as you build it. And, it's what this year is, and we get it. And that's why I wanted to share with all of you, we're all rebuilding programs, rebuilding opportunities. And, this virtual reflections piece is something that I built over the summer. And, it is a work in progress because no one's had to do it this way, but I would venture to guess to anyone still on the call that it's okay not to turn those portfolios in, and we'll deal with the few little technical glitches on a computer at home versus standing in line at a school waiting to drop our portfolio off. So we're trying to work through it, but Google was not an option, mainly because I didn't want everyone to have to make a Google account to be able to submit reflections entries to council, and that's what the Google form would have required. So we're trying to make it as simply to access as possible for all schools. But one thing I did want to mention is that if you have not submitted yet, please submit a JPG file or a JPEG file for the Reflections program, not a PNG file. Those state guidelines were written pre-pandemic, before the actual digital submissions were mandatory. And so, and what it does for my high school presidents that are still on, what it does is it creates a thumbnail image, and the thumbnail image really isn't a fair representation of the work for the students' work to be judged. And so it cannot be enlarged. It creates a very blurry image. And, you know, that is something that state did not take into account when they had the file extension acceptable formats on their page. And so that is also something we're working through. I'm also in the middle of working through whether YouTube uploads can be accepted. YouTube uploads for dance, music, and film normally are not accepted. I am trying to get them allowable under this circumstance. And again, those rules were made prior to the pandemic. And so I'm trying to get that accessible, because a lot of you, and I apologize, have had issues with the program compatibility with larger files for those 3 categories. And so I am aware, but it's just it's something we have to work through in the system. And, you know, it's a great way to share it through the YouTube upload. And I appreciate, you know, your chairs and you and everyone who's trying to get it so it can be viewed by the judges, you know, and we're getting there. But, you know, again, Ms. D'Souza, I'm going to, you know, I'm still working on it. I just have to go through a lot of levels to make sure, because if I just say, yes, we can do it, and then it goes farther,
Right.
you know, I just don't want it. I don't want it well, I should have done it another way, you know, to come back. But
No, I
just
appreciate you.
no
Thank you
problem,
for your
but I
hard work.
you know, they
You're
let me
awesome.
know today on a call that they're still looking into it. And so, you know, I'll get back with you as soon as I hear back. And if anyone's on the call from Newcastle, I also am working on yours as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Amber.
No
You're the
problem.
best.
Thank you. Enjoy your evening.
You too.
Does
Thanks.
anyone else have any questions?
Hey, Amber, Scarlett said, thank you for your support. Could you please check Providence Elementary School for reflections? I am 99.9% positive it was received.
Yes, and if you have my email from Providence, can you email me separately at the conclusion of this call? I did get an email about Providence from the Fairfax district. And so I really do need to speak with you about the email. I got it about a minute before this call began. So if you could email me and just let me know your phone number, that we can talk offline just about the email that I received. But it's nothing we can't work out together. Everything's fine. Do you have my email from the invitation from the call this evening? It's at the bottom. I think you're
She
on
said,
mute.
yes, of course. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lena.
You're welcome. And there's
Does anyone
nothing else in the chat.
Okay,
Just a bunch of thank yous.
Thank you all so much. And again, reach out if you have any questions.
Amber, it's Geraldine. I stayed on here with you just in case there were other questions added to the chat.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Geraldine. Hey, Erica.
Hey, Erica.
She's on mute, but that's okay. There she is. Erica Prosser, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How's Rosemont? Hey, Erica.
We're hanging in there. I'm on my
Girl,
way.
we think of you. Stay safe and well over there, girl.
Yep, you guys too.
Thanks.
Hey.
And continue to get principals list there, Mama. I love seeing all the posts about school. It's awesome. And tell Mason I said hi. I bet he's huge now.
He's a grown child.
Oh, I remember the days with the iPad when he was, what, 3 years old? Well, it's good seeing you.
Yep. All right, you ladies have a good night.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay,
Thanks,
Amber.
Geraldine.
All right,
Bye,
Amber.
Geraldine. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Miss Nicholson, do you have any questions?
Well, it was
Lena,
nice
Erica.
putting.
Huh?
It was nice putting a face to the voice.
Yes, thank you. You as well. And Erica was at council when I started, and she
Okay.
works in the office at Rosemont Elementary School, not far from you, down Holland Road towards
Yep.
South Plaza. And so she's done everything at council. So she probably, could have run this training, but she's a great lady, and now she works in the office at Rosemont, one of those places.
Nice.
So, but thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed
Not a
tonight.
problem.
And
I did.
and is tomorrow or Friday, which one's better? Do you
Both.
have okay. Well, I'll check in
Both
with
will
you
work.
probably around 1 o'clock tomorrow, if that works.
Okay, sounds good.
And perfect. And Tara's got all the bylaws that have come to her, and then I'll let her send you, whatever she wants to send you. We all have the same information pretty much. So we'll just get together and, go from there. But she's great, and she'll help
Okay.
us, with everything too.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
out. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks.
All right.
All right,
bye.
sounds good. Bye.
Miss Nicholson, do you need anything?